think One Global has a competitive edge, mostly based on the fact that they have a very solid team behind them, very experienced, and most importantly, they only sell products that they truly believe in themselves. I believe One Global can continue to do what they've done over the last 2 years and build on that. I think if they focus on working with great developers across Hong Kong and Singapore in their 2 offices, they can continue to grow and be the go-to agent for savvy investors in both of these locations.
One Global has been very supportive to Malaysia team in terms of, like, as I say, getting the right project, and also in terms of the supports that I'm getting from One Global.
I think One Global will expand over the next few years. They have a strong, vibrant and young management team that is capable of putting in the hours that are necessary. Their strengths are that they will only sell what they believe in. They'll sell product that they believe in that's going to achieve capital growth, and I think they're ready to expand throughout Asia and achieve their goals, which are likely to be one of the stronger agencies in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we've got a very exciting and diverse portfolio already. With regards to new projects coming through, we've got some very exciting projects at all different price points. You know, we've got projects across the London market, regionally in other cities, Birmingham, Manchester. We've also got projects coming through in the Australia market and also in the Thai market as well.
I think One Global has a competitive edge, mostly based on the fact that they have a very solid team behind them, very experienced, and most importantly, they only sell products that they truly believe in themselves. I believe One Global can continue to do what they've done over the last 2 years and build on that. I think if they focus on working with great developers across Hong Kong and Singapore in their 2 offices, they can continue to grow and be the go-to agent for savvy investors in both of these locations.
One Global has been very supportive to Malaysia team in terms of, like, as I say, getting the right project, and also in terms of the supports that I'm getting from One Global.
I think One Global will expand over the next few years. They have a strong, vibrant and young management team that is capable of putting in the hours that are necessary. Their strengths are that they will only sell what they believe in. They'll sell product that they believe in that's going to achieve capital growth, and I think they're ready to expand throughout Asia and achieve their goals, which are likely to be one of the stronger agencies in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we've got a very exciting and diverse portfolio already. With regards to new projects coming through, we've got some very exciting projects at all different price points. We've got projects across the London market, regionally in other cities, Birmingham, Manchester. We've also got projects coming through in the Australia market and also in the Thai market as well.
I think One Global has a competitive edge, mostly based on the fact that they have a very, very solid team behind them, very experienced, and most importantly, they only sell products that they truly believe in themselves. I believe One Global can continue to do what they've done over the last 2 years and build on that. I think if they focus on working with great developers across Hong Kong and Singapore in their 2 offices, they can continue to grow and be the go-to agent for savvy investors in both of these locations.
One Global has been very supportive to Malaysia team in terms of, like, as I say, getting the right project, and also in terms of the supports that I'm getting from One Global.
I think One Global will expand over the next few years. They have a strong, vibrant, young management team that is capable of putting in the hours that are necessary. Their strengths are that they will only sell what they believe in. They'll sell product that they believe in that's going to achieve capital growth, and I think they're ready to expand throughout Asia and achieve their goals, which are likely to be one of the stronger agencies in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we've got a very exciting and diverse portfolio already. With regards to new projects coming through, we've got some very exciting projects at all different price points. We've got projects across the London market, regionally in other cities, Birmingham, Manchester. We've also got projects coming through in the Australia market and also in the Thai market as well.
I think One Global has a competitive edge, mostly based on the fact that they have a very, very solid team behind them, very experienced, and most importantly, they only sell products that they truly believe in themselves. I believe One Global can continue to do what they've done over the last 2 years and build on that. I think if they focus on working with great developers across Hong Kong and Singapore in their 2 offices, they can continue to grow and be the go-to agent for savvy investors in both of these locations.
One Global has been very supportive to Malaysia team in terms of, like, as I say, getting the right project, and also in terms of the supports that I'm getting from One Global.
I think One Global will expand over the next few years. They have a strong, vibrant, young management team that is capable of putting in the hours that are necessary. Their strengths are that they will only sell what they believe in. They'll sell product that they believe in that's going to achieve capital growth, and I think they're ready to expand throughout Asia and achieve their goals, which are likely to be one of the stronger agencies in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we've got a very exciting and diverse portfolio already. With regards to new projects coming through, we've got some very exciting projects at all different price points. You know, we've got projects across the London market, regionally in other cities, Birmingham, Manchester. We've also got projects coming through in the Australia market and also in the Thai market as well.
Hi everyone, my name is John Koh, Regional Director from One Global Property Services. Thank you for joining us today. It's a Friday, it's 4 p.m. right now. We understand this Friday afternoon is a precious time and you chose to spend this next 1 hour with us. So thank you very much for spending that time with us today. Here with me, I have the handsome guy with me, Jose from Life Residential. I think today we all are here for one specific reason, to understand more about UK property. I'm sure many of you who might be sitting at home, whether you're in Singapore right now, Malaysia, Hong Kong, I know some of our friends and clients from Hong Kong are dialing in today. You might be sitting there looking to buy a property in UK in the next few months, or currently own a property in UK, and you would like to know whether right now is a good time, or why is UK even should be a consideration for your property investment in the next few months ahead. So with that, we're going to dive right in to understand why people have been investing into UK property for the last many years, despite what happened in 2016 Brexit, and despite what is happening now in the early this year. We see more and more people coming to us asking about UK properties in the last few months. Of course, before that, I'll get Jose to share with us more on the rental market and the outlook of UK property. But before that, just to be safe, guys, we are all putting in this very new special safety precaution just to make sure everyone is staying safe during this period. So just bear with us. Jose, maybe I'll get you to start.
Thank you very much for having me today, John. It's very good to be here. I'm just going to quickly tell you a little bit about myself. So I've been with Life Residential for the last 7 years. I've worked in the UK, Hong Kong, and now in our Singapore office. And I just want to quickly introduce you to Life Residential and who we are if you haven't heard about us. So we've been around for the last 20 years. We currently manage 4,500 properties, and we focus on sales, lettings, and property management. We have 11 offices in London, covering all postcodes of London. This is a map of where we're located at the moment. And we also have 2 international offices, one in Hong Kong, one in Singapore, where we have about 1,200 clients that own property in London. And it's important for us to be here so that we can obviously bridge the gap between London and Asia for our clients. Last year we won an award that we're very proud of. It's basically the best overall lettings agent in the whole of the UK. Great award, and something we are very happy to and honor to have received. This is just my contact details, so please jot them down. Feel free to contact me anytime. I'm based in Singapore. This is our office where we're based, so feel free to get in touch if you have any questions now or later, at a later stage. I'm just going to pass over to John.
Thank you very much, Jose. So I'm going to come back to him to ask him about what's the outlook for UK rental market at a later stage. But of course, before that, I think let's put things into perspective. Why are we here today? Why are we spending this time logging in to listen to John and joining One Global for the next 1 hour? I think everyone would agree with me that we have this intention or this curious interest to find out more if UK is still the top destination for property investors. Should we look at it right now or should we not look at it at all for the next few months? Does UK continue to be attractive as an investment towards me as an investor? So today I'm going to share that with you. But before that, I think the question to ask, I don't know about you guys, but can I ask for you guys who are sitting on your desk right now, what is the major obstacle that's stopping you from buying a property today? Whether is it Singapore or anywhere else in the world? I think some of you would agree with some of the pointers that I put up there. I think one of the main reasons that is stopping people from buying property today is probably one of the few example, huge capital upfront, because buying property, let's face it, is always capital intensive. We need to come out with a lot of money. And of course, if we are looking at Hong Kong, if we are looking at Singapore, we agree that the stamp duty, the second property onwards, stamp duty is really, really high. That adds on to financial burden of how much we need to come out. The third thing will be seller stamp duty. We all know that today, if I'm going to buy a second property in Singapore as an investment, we are so-called restricted from selling the property within the first 3 years. We can, but of course, there's this seller stamp duty that we have to pay, which is up to 12%. And if we are taking a loan from the Singapore bank, the mortgage loan will only lend us up to 45% on the purchase amount on the second loan onwards. And of course, as an investor, we are always worried about what? We always worry about whether is this the right timing, is this the right product, is it even the right time for me to be looking at this particular property investment at this time. Let me just, okay. Cool. So coming back for Singapore property, I'm sure many of us here are Singaporeans, including myself. I mean, many years ago I bought a UK property, but what was going through my head, maybe just to share with you, and in 2016, I sort of decided that I want to buy a investment property, a second property, and I sort of felt that, you know, when I look at Singapore property, stamp duty is probably a bit higher, and of course, there's this seller stamp duty in place. So I decided to look at UK property. And of course, we know that government have this TDSR in place to make sure we do not over leverage or we do not over speculate. That is a good effort and good regulation that has been put in place by our government before we buy our second property. And of course, the next thing is progressive payment. We know that buying a Singapore property, we have to start financing our mortgage from the following month onwards till completion. And then, of course, in a bank loan in Singapore, when you take a loan from a Singapore bank, it has to always be principal plus interest, which sometimes can be quite a burden on our monthly cash flow as well. So this is a good comparison chart. I'll just let you have a look at it. This is a comparison between the UK property investment versus the Singapore property investment. But before that, I would like to reiterate, I'm not saying that Singapore is not good. I'm a Singaporean. Trust me, Singapore property market is a fantastic market that we should all stay invested. I stay invested myself. But of course, when we are looking at a second investment property, we tend to look at, is there any other options that we can explore? And this is why, from time to time, client has shared with me that, you know, UK tends to stand out among all the other global cities in terms of the second destination for property investors. I think if we look at the mortgage part, we see that if you are buying a property in UK, the UK bank actually offer you not just principal plus interest, but do you know they also offers you interest-only loan. So there is something that many of my clients become like, oh wow, John, I didn't know that if I take a loan from the UK bank, I can just be choosing to finance for my interest and not just a principal plus interest. Whereby if you are taking a loan from a Singapore bank for a Singapore property, it's always have to be principal plus interest. So what does that mean to you? That means that today, if I own a property in UK and I'm taking a loan in UK bank servicing interest only, many a times you realize that for this rental that you're receiving, but you're paying just for the interest part, your cash flow tend to be positive, which is good, as this is what most investors want, right? Because the last thing what we want is that every month we are topping up, for our money, for our bank mortgage. Second thing is, of course, stamp duty. I think stamp duty is an important thing when buying a property, a big consideration for many investors. Stamp duty is significantly lower compared to Singapore stamp duty. If you are looking at a 1 million Singapore equivalent property, the stamp duty is averagely about 9%, whereby in Singapore, the stamp duty will be about 16% all in with ABSD plus buyer stamp duty. And of course, next thing is payment term. Payment term, I think some of our clients was quite surprised to know that in UK, the payment term is often known as a staggered deferred payment, meaning that today, if you're going to buy a 1 million property that completes 3 years later, all you have to pay is just 10% of the purchase price, which is for $1 million is about 100,000. 100,000 today, and then another 10% 1 year later. So you pay a 10% now, 10% 1 year later, and the remaining 80% only upon completion. So you don't pay a monthly progressive payment like what Singapore property would require. That's where you have to pay your monthly mortgage, you have to pay your stamp duty upfront, whereby for UK, it's all upon completion, along with the stamp duty. I think this is something that many of our new clients didn't know about. So coming to that, I'm sure many of us as a first-time investor, when exposed to UK property, we have this dilemma. Should I invest in Singapore? Should I invest in UK? My recommendation is always look at your affordability, look at what is your risk level, and of course, look at what is your long-term objective. If you ask me, I think both are blue chip investment destination in their own rights, and of course, it's up to you to decide. What I will do with you today is just to share with you more. You can make the decision at the later part. So today, what we'll be sharing will be why UK property, what to invest in UK property, and how much is needed to invest in UK property. But before we go further, of course, this is just a quick disclaimer, just to share that most of the research are done best to our ability, and the source are provided as well. But this whole seminar and webinar is not trying to tell you that you should buy or you should not buy. What we're trying to do is to share and educate you who are sitting over there. At the end of the day, the final decision lies with you. So a bit about myself. So I'm John Koh. I didn't start off my career as a property advisor from the start. In fact, I spent my first 7 years in a bank as a relationship manager, advising clients into investment products like mutual funds, structured notes, and FX. But in the 7 years in the banking, I realized that many of the Asian high net worth clients tend to gravitate toward real estate as an investment asset class. That's where I decided, after 7 years of being a relationship manager, why don't I just be like a relationship manager but manage a different asset class, which is real estate, as a core portfolio for this high net worth client. And that got me to where I am today. So in the last few years, I've been busy, heavily involved in giving seminars, webinars, and educational talks across the region. In fact, 3/4 of the time in 2019, I was spending my time in Hong Kong, because as we all probably know, Hong Kong clients have been buying and investing into UK property. In fact, in the last 1 year, even up to date, for various reasons, which I'm sure many of you are aware about. So of course, in the picture over here, in the newspaper cutting, that was one of the talk that I was giving in Brunei, because you'd be surprised that Brunei seems to be quite, not much talk about country, but in fact, many investors in Brunei are buying into UK property as well. And of course, the photo in the middle is my dream team in One Global. These are the people that we work closely with, along with Jose, who's in the picture. That this is one of the photos taken in one of the hotel. I think that's Four Seasons Hotel that we do exhibitions on every weekend, every now and then. So of course, we also work directly with reputable developers. Once a year, we will actually make a trip down to UK to visit all the sites that we are going to market for the year ahead. So we make sure we know what we are sharing with our clients. We make sure due diligence are done properly. We make sure we know the developer's profile, the location, what is the regeneration and placemaking master plan that's going to roll out in the next few years so that we can better share this with our clients as well. So I work for One Global Property Services. I'm sure many of you have heard of us, whether is it through Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. If those of you who have not known us, you can search for us on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook and follow us as well. So we are sitting here in Singapore, in Orchard Road, in Devonshire Road. So we have multiple offices in Kuala Lumpur, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and of course London as well. As a boutique agency, we don't just work alone. In fact, we work with global partners like Life Residential, whereby Jose provide our clients on, in helping their leasing and management of their UK property. We work with Capricorn Financial, whereby they help our clients in securing mortgages as well, and so on and so forth. A little bit of our time where we started. So in 2017, bearing in mind 2017 June is 1 year after Brexit. So it was quite a sensitive time because you see many of the big agency players are scaling down in terms of their international business. But whereby my founder, James Pardo, whom many of you will get to see I'm quite sure in the near future, James Pardo felt that there was this opportunity in June 2017 because what he sees is that whereby Brexit happened, in fact, Asian investors find this Brexit as an opportunity for them to enter the UK market. Because why? Because price become a little bit more sensible. They probably get in terms of more attractive effects. In terms of interest rate, these are things that matters for investors, which is why we see a sudden increase of interest towards UK property. That's where he decided to set up One Global office in Singapore as the HQ. And in the last 3 years, we have spent our time building the team. So my colleagues come from all walks of agency in the same business, from Knight Frank, CBRE, Colliers, and all of us are now coming together to form this, we call the Dream Team for International Property Services, to bring you the same service, to bring you the right product, the right knowledge, and the right opportunities to invest when you are looking at UK properties. And of course, today, we are proud to say that we have over more than 30 members across the region in Shanghai, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Singapore. And this is just a quick snapshot of our office. In Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. We work directly with developers, and I'm sure many of you will be very familiar with some of the brands over here. Galliard Homes, Barclay Groups, Taylor Wimpey, Barrett's. These are the developers that we work directly with as an agency, so that as an investor, you're not worried that you're buying a second tier or third tier kind of a product from the UK developer. In fact, you're buying one of the best product that the top tier developer in Hong Kong, in UK has to offer. So this is a photo of our office in Hong Kong and Singapore. On the top right hand side with that building in white, this is where we are at right now. This is our Singapore office in Devonshire Road, a really very nice shop house. I would say some of you, when you guys have the time, arrange a time with your brokers or with us to come and check out our office. This is a place whereby many of our clients used to spend their time coming here for a wine. We discuss about the UK market, where are the opportunities, and spend our time here. So I think we'll jump straight into John. The question many of our clients will tell me, okay, John, you tell me about, UK versus Singapore property. Why should I look at UK property? The main thing is, why UK? The main reason, why do I even want to invest in London at all, altogether? This is something that I will share with you today. The main thing that many of us are worried about when we talk about UK property is what happened 3 years ago. If we remember 2016 in June, Brexit happened. And for the last 3 years, when we talk to our clients, investors, some of them are worried about Brexit. They're saying, John, is Brexit right now? Now is probably not a good time to go in. But what if I tell you something that you didn't know about? What if I tell you in the last 3 years, when you and I are probably worried about Brexit, what are the big boys, the developers, are doing in the last 3 years, when most of us are having this fear in the UK market? So this is an article, CDL, City Development. We all know that City Development, this is in 2018, 2 years after Brexit. What did City Development do? City Development decided to buy the London Formal Stock Exchange for £385 million in 2018. That is the period whereby Brexit happened and everyone is fearful. The question to ask, why did City Development decided to buy into such a big building at such a quantum during this period when you and I are so worried? Is there a reason to it? Why is that so? And CDL see this because CDL see that due to the lack of quality space and the strong growth potential, the long-term fundamental remains intact, which is why this is probably one of the best times for them to enter into the UK London property market. Next slide. UOL, SPH, in 2019 and 2018, entered the UK property market as well. SPH bought into a UK student housing portfolio for 180 million. And then shortly in 2019, about 1 year later, they buy 7 more UK student accommodation for 411 million pounds. Why is that so? Because I still remember in 2019, most of us are still worried about Brexit, right? But why do these big developers decided to enter into the UK market during this period? Wouldn't they be afraid as well? Because you and I will be just buying one property. We are worried. They are buying one block. Shouldn't they be more worried? That's the question we ask ourselves, right? So you see Far East Consortium as well. In fact, recently this year, Far East Consortium in February bought a £250 million property in Canary Wharf. The clicker is not doing too well. Hobie Land acquired a Grade A office in London as well, and that is in 2018. So you see that many of these top developers are taking the opportunity during the 3 years of Brexit to enter into UK property market. Why is that so? There must be a reason, right? And in fact, if you look at what happened last year you see a sudden record of Chinese and Hong Kong buyers buying into UK property, especially after Boris Johnson and his Conservative Party have their biggest win in the last 30 years. That sets a lot more clarity in the Brexit scenario. With more clarity in the market, investors are more confident to enter into the UK market, which is also the reason why, if you look at the screen, why Hong Kong and Chinese buyers are not waiting anymore. They are taking the chance to enter into the UK market, buying big time into the London property market in the late last year all the way to early this year. Okay. So this is a chart. I think buying property or any investment is all about fact and figure. So this is a good chart whereby I'm going to show you that in the last 3 years, despite the Brexit uncertainty, what if I tell you that London still outperformed the rest of UK? London still shows more than 2% price change on a year-to-year basis. And if you look at the chart on the right-hand side, you see from 2009 all the way to 2016, in fact, the UK house prices, in fact, the London house prices has been gradually going up north until 2016 when Brexit happened. That's sort of, because of the uncertainty, the price didn't move as fast as before. But what does that mean to you? That also means that you didn't lose out. The boat hasn't left in the last 3 years. You still have the opportunity to enter the London property market at a decent price. Because let's face it, if there hasn't been a Brexit, if there hasn't been a COVID-19, and today I come to you and say that, Mr. Client, you should look at a UK property right now, you will tell me, John, the property price is too high, right? Because there's no bad news. Let's wait for the bad news to happen. So today we have that sort of a little bit bad news, which also means that there's an opportunity for you to enter at a much more attractive pricing as an investor. So I guess this is a good overview on why, whether is it a developer, whether it's a high-end institutions, our individual retail investor has been investing into UK for the last 10 years because of the many reasons which I'll talk about. Low interest rate, exchange rate as well. I think there's a huge undersupply of new homes, which is, as an investment, especially in property, it's all about demand versus supply, which I think Jose will agree with me, right? Because when you have an increasing demand, and you have a limited supply, what happens? Price go up. Yeah. So this is a Knight Frank research report done in 2020. You can see that this is a research being done on the different countries on where would be their top destination for them to invest in 2020 as a first choice. In the box in red, you can see that UK and US has been rated the #1 destination for them to invest in 2020. And the top 5 countries where Asian high net worth, ultra high net worth would purchase in 2020, UK stands at #2. And UK has been voted the most popular country of choice for residential purchases. So the question today I'll ask you, today if you have to invest in one property destination, where would you invest? Naturally, you want to invest in the top 2 or top 3, right? I mean, seldom I have clients telling me that, John, I don't invest in the top 2 destination, I want to invest in the bottom 2 destination. So as you can see, in terms of economic demand as well as wealth demand, London still stands at the top 5 for the last many years. And this is a research done in March 2019. We are still in the middle of Brexit. Despite in the middle of Brexit, London still stands at number 2 in terms of global financial centers. In terms of wealth index, in 2019, London still stands at number 1. And that says a lot about the strength of the London property. And as an investor, I think one of the main reasons why investor has been looking into UK property market in the last many years is really the currency play. I think versus if you have bought something in 2015, the currency exchange from pounds to Sing dollar is 2.172. But today, if you haven't bought a property in London and you're buying today, what's your exchange rate? Your exchange rate is only 1.735. What does that mean? That means that you are using a lot lesser Singapore dollars to buy the same UK property. And in fact, it's almost a 20% discount from 5 years ago. So the question is up to ask you is, do you want to buy when the currency is more expensive, or do you want to buy when the currency is cheaper? And today, we are not talking about any other emerging country currency. We are talking about one of the world's strongest currency, and you're buying at a historical low. So I guess this is something that many of our investors has been focusing on, which is why in the last few months we see a lot of people coming back to us inquiring about UK property. And what happened in March this year? Of course, early this year, we have COVID-19 affecting us, not just in Singapore, not just in London, but in fact globally. So in response to stimulating the economy, the Bank of England has done what? In March 2020 this year, they announced that they have reduced their bank base lending interest rate to 0.1%. If you look at the chart in 2007, the interest rate is 5.75%, but today the interest rate is 0.1%. What does that mean to you? What it means to you is that as an investor, when you are taking a loan from the UK bank, your interest rate becomes lower. And what does that mean? That means that every month, the amount of mortgage payment that I'm paying to the bank is a lot lesser as well. So this is demand versus supply. I'm sure we all agree that buying property is all about demand versus supply. In fact, I'm going to show you this chart. Who agrees that when you have increasing demand and a limited supply, there's a premium to the product? One good example, I think boys and girls can all relate to me. This is a chart which, don't laugh. I think this is the famous red color bag that a lot of girls would own or dream of owning. And of course, the one on the right hand side is something that guys can relate it. As you can see, these are products that is very limited in supply, and which is also why you have to pay a premium to get your hands on this product. But of course, in the recent few months, what is the thing that is commanding a premium because of the limited supply and the huge demand? Toilet papers and face masks. As we all know, because of what's happening in the last few months, toilet paper and face mask is the most highly sought after product, which is why you see people buying and reselling it at a huge premium. But as an investor, don't we want to do that as well? Buying something at a price with a good potential to resell it at a higher price as well. So should we buy when supply is high, or should we buy when supply is low? I guess we all agree, right? We try to buy when the supply is low. Oops. Sorry. Okay, this is a chart. So this is a JLL regional forecast in 2020. It shows that in the next 10 years, 300,000 new homes is needed. But do you know for the last 10 years, how much new homes is coming to the market? 160,000 new homes. That's almost half of what is required in the past 10 years. And what does that mean? That means that there's a huge shortage of supply coming to the market with ever-increasing demand. And what does that mean? That also means that, which is why in the last 3 years, you see that the resale price, the rental market has been consistently been very stable in the last 3 years, despite the Brexit uncertainty. This is getting a bit hot. Are you hot? Yeah. I guess this is a chart that Jose can probably explain more as well in terms of the rental market. Jose, maybe you can share with our clients like what you have seen in the last 3 years in terms of the rental market.
So, yeah, in the midst of Brexit, the market on the rental side, in my opinion, hasn't been affected. In fact, in some areas, rents have definitely gone up. Demand has certainly picked up. There's been a lot of businesses that in the midst of Brexit has decided to bring their headquarters into London, which has obviously brought in more jobs and therefore more opportunity for rental. So I definitely agree with this chart. I mean, it paints so many good words in terms of 16 years, and the rental has gone up. I've been in the industry for the last 8 years, and I've noticed things going up. And the biggest point, in my opinion, is that in the midst of Brexit, where everybody realized that there's a lot of uncertainty, myself included, there's a lot of questions I was asking, what's going on, what's going on? Even so, on the rental side, things were getting better and stronger. Demand was picking up, and therefore prices on the rental side was also going up.
Yeah, I think this is a good chart because you can see from the chart it's from 2004 all the way to 2018. Bearing in mind from 2004 to 2018, a lot of things has happened, right? Of course, in 2016, we have the Brexit. But seeing this chart, it shows the rental market is really strong. But what does that mean to you as an investor? Meaning that today, if in 2004, you own a property in London, as a landlord, every month you're still collecting rental because the rental demand is consistently very, very strong. And you're not worried about paying your monthly mortgage because you know that the rental that you're receiving continue to increase on the month to month, in fact, a year to year basis as well. And this is what you want to see as a property investor, right? Okay, give me a minute. Okay, I guess this is a good chart. So this is almost a 20 years chart of the London house prices. I think this chart basically says it all. From 1999 to the last 2020, the last 20 years, so many things have happened, right? In fact, just for this year alone, so many things have happened. But of course, the next thing I want to bring across to you is that look at 1999. We have the dot-com in the first crisis that we see, the dot-com bubble burst, and of course the 9/11. If I have come to you at that point of time and say, right now there's a crisis, it's probably a good time for you to stay invested. You say, John, now it's not bad. Now it's not a good time because of the crisis. Then what happened? The price went up. And then it comes to Lehman Brothers. Of course, Lehman Brothers is one of the worst financial crises that the world have seen. The price came down a bit. But just imagine if you own a property before the Lehman Brothers crisis happened and you have held on to it, bearing in mind the rental market continued to be strong, what happened? The market actually recovered. And if you have bought at the peak of Lehman Brothers crisis, all the way to today, you are still in the profit because London property prices continue to go up, as what is seen in the chart. So, question today is, where is the hotspot in London today? Let me just show you something first. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that video over there. So now, who is thinking of booking an air ticket to fly to London at the next flight out? So anyway, so this is a video of Sovereign Court. This is a development in Zone 2. For those that probably know about this location, this is actually on the north of the River Thames. In the past, I remember in 2013 when we are launching London properties, before we even talk to our clients about any projects, the clients who know London really well will always ask me, John, is this development on the north of the river or on the south of the river? Because they still have this thinking that the north of the river is always better, it's always more affluent. Is that right, Jose?
That's true. Most people want it to be north of the river.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of developments south of the river that have been great. And at least in this case, for those people that are asking, it's north of the river.
Exactly. So I guess, of course, the south right now is going through a lot of regeneration, but traditionally, north of the river has been deemed as the best of the best in terms of London as a location. So today we're going to share with you on this project, why Sovereign Court. Just bear in mind, Sovereign Court is a W6 postcode. So when people, I still remember people in the past, John, I only want to just speak to me when a postcode is a SW or is a W postcode. So you'll be happy to know that Sovereign Court is actually under the W6 postcode. So, but of course, before we share about the project, we need to share with you about the developers, right? Because I remember many of my clients, they tell me, John, as an overseas investor investing into overseas property, what is the first concern? Even, I can be telling them about the potential of the capital appreciation or the rental market, but as a property investor investing into overseas market, the first fear is always, I don't know about this developer. I'm worried about I'm paying the 10% or the 20% down payment and the property don't complete. What happened if that? What happened, John? So I guess investing into overseas, I think the first criteria is to invest along with a reputable developer that has a very strong track record. And I'm very proud to share with you that today, the project that we are sharing with you is actually by Barclay Group, which I'm quite sure many of you are very aware. Barclay Group has a 40-year history. As a group, they own multiple brands, which is St. George, St. Edward, St. James, St. Joseph, and St. Williams. And they are a FTSE 100 company, which also means that in UK, they are the top 100 companies with a presence across the world. In fact, they have physical office in Singapore, Hong Kong, and China to service a lot of investors who owns a property in UK through them. And of course, this property is actually under one of their brand by St. George. And actually, St. George actually built a lot of developments along the River Thames, which is the traditional destination that they will tend to build on. As you can see, St. George actually built a lot of, this is not their first project. In fact, they have built numerous projects. One of the few that you probably might be familiar with is Flimworks, Beaufort Park, a huge regeneration area, and Grand Union. As an investor who have invested into these schemes, you'll be happy to know that you actually are sitting on a very decent capital appreciation when they were launched. And of course, these are some of the projects they have built and completed as well. As you can see, the locations for St. George in terms of the development locations are along the River Thames. The one in white over there is actually the River Thames, and you can see the different locations along River Thames as well. So I'm going to let you absorb these photos for the next 10 seconds. This is the photos of where Sovereign Court is sitting at in Hammersmith. It's a very, very nice 400 units development sitting in Zone 2, Central London. That is River Thames for you, and this is probably one of the nicest part of River Thames if you ask me. For those who have been Hammersmith, you know that this is a very nice residential, low density area whereby, it's a very safe area because we know that even in London, there are certain places that can be quite rough. Hammersmith is one of the places that is really peaceful, quaint, full of greeneries. You can just take a few minutes, you can walk to River Thames. And the good thing is where Sovereign Court is sitting at, if you look towards the left-hand side, that's where the Hammersmith Zone 2 underground station is at. And under that station, you have 4 different lines running through that station, which I will share with you later as well. In fact, along Hammersmith, you are walking distance to this, what we call a King's Mall shopping center, whereby you have your H&M, you have Mark & Spencer, and I think you have IKEA coming in as well. So your daily amenities can be done just within a few minutes walk. Jose, do you have any experience about this Hammersmith area?
Well, one of the biggest things is the fact that it's so well connected. The fact that it's on four different lines, so close to the River Thames. I think it's about 28 minutes or half an hour to Heathrow Airport and 25 minutes into the city. So just the fact that it's so well connected, and you've also got a lot of different business hubs within the area, within close proximity to this development, that makes it, you know, quite unique.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is for you to know that in Hammersmith, there hasn't been any new supply of new developments coming into this area. And this is important as an investor, because you want to go into an area whereby you know that you don't have many competition, especially when you're an investor, because you are the one and only. And when it's completed, people actually want to rent and people want to live in this development. And of course, why this is one of the few reasons why investors have been investing into Sovereign Court. Once you reach the station, which is about 125 meters away from the developments, for you to walk to the train station is only 125 meters, which is less than 2 minutes walk. Just imagine you walking out of the development, and within 2 minutes you reach your train station that brings you to central London in less than 8 minutes. And of course, within two stops where the Westfield shopping center is at, you can do all your grocery, you can do your supermarket, your pharmacy, your clinics, your manicures. Everything can be done in Westfield shopping center, which is less than 3 minutes away. And of course, the other good thing is that within this area is considered what we call the TV triangle, which is what we know as the the Media Tech Center. The White City regeneration is actually expanding, and Hammersmith is one of the areas that will benefit from this whole White City regeneration as well. So this is a train map of the tube line. If you can look on the second station, the Sovereign Court, Sovereign Court is actually where the Hammersmith station is at. It's just a 2 minutes walk to the station. And once you reach the station, depending on which line you are taking, because like I mentioned earlier, there's 4 train lines that's cutting through this station. You have the Piccadilly line, the Circle line, the District line, the Hammersmith line. So once you're at the station, it just takes you less than 3 minutes to go to Shepherd's Bush Market, where Westfield Shopping Centre is at. By the way, for your information, Westfield Shopping Centre is one of the largest shopping centres in the whole of Europe. As well as it takes you less than 11 minutes to go to Paddington. Paddington is where your Crossrail is at for you to go to the rest of Europe as well. And of course, King's Cross, where you have your Eurostar, and that's less than 25 minutes. That also shows how well connected this development is to the rest of central London. And this is something that you want, right? Because when you want to rent it out, you know that there will be someone who want to rent it because of the location, because of the accessibility to the train station, to the shopping centers, and to the top college, which I will share with you later as well. So this is a local map of the Hammersmith area. As you can see, surrounding Hammersmith, you have top companies having their presence in the Hammersmith area. You have like Disney, Fox, BBC, you have Sony, Harrods that's coming into the new Westfield Shopping Centre extension as well. So what does that mean to us as an investor? That also means that when you are going to rent out your property or you're going to sell your property, there will be probably someone working in these top companies in top position wanting to rent from you or wanting to buy this property from you when you're looking to exit the market. And of course, London is always well known for education as well. You'll be happy to know that this development is very near to very reputable primary and secondary school. One of the top schools is probably the West London Free School, as well as the St. Paul Primary School. In terms of the secondary school, you have the Fulham Cross Girls School, as well as the Sacred Heart High School as well. These are really top outstanding school which is around this development. As well as for private school, for those who are sending their kids for further study in terms of private school, this development is also very near to a few top private schools. You have the Latimar schools, the West London, the St. Paul Girls School as well, just to name a few top schools within this development. I think this is the main thing. I think Imperial College, for those of you who are familiar, Imperial College is actually the third best university in the whole of Europe. In fact, in the world ranking, they are the number 8 top university in the whole of the world. So what does that mean? That means that your potential person that is going to rent or buy from you are possibly parents who have their kids studying in Imperial College, and these people usually want to live near the college. And this is where you find your apartments being able to rent out really easily, being able to resell when it's time for you to exit the market really easily as well. So this is a site map of Sovereign Court. I just leave you to. So Sovereign Court is on the top left-hand side. If you can see, once you walk out of the station, there's this what we call the High Street. Along the High Street, you have a lot of eateries, a lot of shoppings as well. You have a King's Mall. You can see that there's a Mark and Spencer. You have the Patissier, the cafes, and more importantly, you have the Hammersmith Underground Station just within 125 meters. So what does that mean? That also means that your property is near to daily amenities, near to food, near to supermarket, near to top schools, near to train station. This development basically tick all the right box for investment. So I think this is the Westfield Shopping Centre. If you are, I've been to this shopping centre last year, trust me when I tell you that it takes me at least 2 hours, 2 solid hours to finish walking to cover the whole of Westfield Shopping Centre, because it's really that big. So this Westfield Shopping Centre is just less than 3 minutes away once you get onto the Hammersmith line, which is at Shepherd's Bush, which is 2 stops away. So it also says that how convenient and how near this shopping centre is to this development. And in this Westfield Shopping Centre, you can find reputable brands like H&M, LV, Apple, Tiffany & Co, Burberry's in this shopping centre, all in one stop. And just to give you an overview of this development, right now, over 200 units has been completed. This development has about 400 units. 200 units has been completed right now, with about 90% sold in this development. So right now, we are actually releasing the final phase. And at the same time as we speak, almost 60 units have been rented out to people, to a line of people who've been queuing up to rent a unit over here. So this is the development. This is the last phase that we are launching. This is what we call the phase 2 development. As you can see, it's a very low density, not a high-rise building, has a lot of residential feel to it. The road itself is filled with a lot of tree, greeneries, is quaint and quiet, which is something a lot of people like about living in London. So on the right-hand side, if you look at the beige part, the beige color is actually what we call the phase 1. Phase 1 is about 200 units, fully sold right now. Right now, we are launching phase 2, the final release of phase 2, which is in the 4 blocks in yellow on the right, on the left-hand side. Okay. So as you can see, in this phase 2, right now we are doing the final release for a good mix of the 2 beds and 3 beds. 90% of this phase 2 has been sold. And what does that mean? That means how popular and how sought after this development is, for whether is it you are end user or whether you are investors. Let me just show you more on this, what is the unit that's available. So this is a typical 2-bedroom, 2-bed, 2-bath, 848 square feet all the way to 1,071 square feet. You can see it's a very proper squarish layout. When you enter from the main door, you have the access towards the left-hand side, the living and the common area with 2 bedrooms side by side. And the master room will have their own ensuite without sharing, and of course you have a common bathroom for the 2nd bedroom as well as the guest as well. Very regular layout. Okay, this is how a typical apartment will look like when you receive the key. As you can see, it's very nicely done up. Top specification. This is something that St. George, as a Barclay brand, will always deliver to our clients. And you'll be happy to know that whether you are renting it out or you are using it as an end user, there's a 24-hour concierge in this development, meaning that even when you are out, you have a delivery coming to you at a different timing. There's someone to receive that parcel or that mail on your behalf. So I think this is an important fact sheet. Remember when I mentioned that buying into UK property, it's about staggered deferred payment. So let me just run through the terms of payment with you. To reserve a unit today, when you're buying a UK property or London property specifically to this, all you need to do is a reservation fee of £5,000 when you're buying a 1-bed, or £10,000 for 2 beds or 3 beds. Then John, when do I pay the next payment? Your next 10% is only payable 3 weeks later upon the reservation of the unit. So meaning that you pay the £5,000, you pay your first 10% 3 weeks later. And then the next 10% will only happen 1 year later. Then the next question is, people always say, John, so what happened in between from now to 1 year later? You don't make any payment at all, because remember when I say that it's not progressive payment, it's deferred payment. You only pay a 10% now, 10% 1 year later, and the remaining balance, 80% upon completion. And what if I tell you, actually from now till then, there's no stopping of you reselling that property, and there's no penalty on that. That is the beauty about UK property, which some of the investors like. When is the completion? The completion for phase 2 for this block is actually end of 2021. So the completion will be from now to end of next year. It's about 1.5 years to completion. And this is a 999 years development. Of course, this is a quick overview. For those of you who want to have more information about this project, please go back to your brokers who have invited you. They will have all the information to share with you as well, and they will be in the best position to advise you which is the best unit, which is the best unit, and which is why you should choose the unit, and what is the rental yield that you can look at in terms of the unit that you have chosen as well. So this is a specific unit that we have chosen. For those of you who say, John, okay, I just want a shortcut. What is the unit that you propose? This is a 2-bed unit that we propose in one of the block, the Henley House. The plot number is 276. Bear in mind, this is plot number 276. The asking price is about £1.1 million for 2-bed, 2-bath. So you can go back to your brokers to ask for this information as well. This is this is plot 276. This is a 884 square feet internally. A lot of people doesn't know that. Do you know that in UK, when you're buying a property, the balcony is not counted as the internal space. It's separated. So the 884 square feet is the net internal, and you don't pay for the balcony, which is like, wow, which is something different in Singapore, right? Because in Singapore, everything is inclusive in terms of the aircon latch, in terms of the balcony space, everything is inclusive in the purchase price. What is the monthly rent? The monthly rent is about £2,800 per month. So this is the estimated rental. Let me just run through the cash flow for you. Just now, remember when I say that it's a deferred payment. So today, to reserve the unit for plot 276 specifically, you need to put in a £5,000 reservation fee. In fact, I think it's £10,000 for 2-bed. Oh yeah. So you need to put a £10,000 reservation fee to reserve the unit. You pay your first 10% 3 weeks later. That's about £107,000 altogether. You pay your next 10% 12 months after exchange. That means 1 year from now. Only then you pay your next 10%. And then the remaining 80% is payable upon completion, which is the end of 2021. From now till end of 2021, basically you just need to set aside 20%. Question, John, what about stamp duty? Do I need to pay stamp duty? Because buying a Singapore property, I know that we have to pay the stamp duty quite soon, right? What about stamp duty in UK? Do I pay now? The answer is no. You only pay your stamp duty upon completion, which means you only pay your stamp duty end of next year when it completes. And that is if you complete. Because remember when I say that there's no stopping of you to sub-sale the property before completion. So if you manage to find a buyer to buy the property from you at a profit, basically you don't even pay for the stamp duty. And many a times, many of our buyers haven't even secured a bank loan because there's no need for you to actually have a bank loan in place before completion. Monthly rental estimated is about £2,800. Is that about right, Jose?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
2 beds range between, I think it's 650 to 750.
Yeah, so for the 2 beds in Zone 2, bearing in mind this is a Zone 2 top location, so the rental is about £2,800 per month. That brings us to the rental yield about 3.1%, which I'm quite sure many of us appreciate. Bearing in mind that when we buy into a UK property, we are not just buying into the capital appreciation, we are not just buying into the rental yield. Remember, there's this currency in play. Remember, there's this interest rate in play, which is very favorable to us at the moment. So this is plot 276. For more information, go back to your brokers to ask them for more information, to send you the fact sheet and the floor plan, or come to me, which I can share with you on the later stage as well. So with that, I've come to the end of the presentation. I hope this has been a decent 1 hour spent with you, and hope that you guys have managed to learn something. Of course, we understand that this is a very short 1 hour. I probably am rushing through, and we don't expect you to make that decision straight away. What we would really recommend is to, have a word with us individually, go back to your brokers, come to me or Jose, have a word to understand more about UK property, to understand whether is this a good time or is this within your risk profile in terms of your comfortable budget, and then we can then decide to take the next step further. So with that, thank you very much for the time spent. What we're going to do next is going to open the ground for question and answer. If you have any question and answer, please post it over here, and then we will try to answer, me and Jose myself. I have my contact over there. It'll be good for you to take down my contact in terms of my contact number and my email. For those who haven't followed us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, let me just turn it to our page as well. So this is our official email. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram so that you'll be updated on the next opportunities and our next launches. And we definitely hope to see you there at our next seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jose.
Some question to Jose.
Hi, Jose, here we go.
There are 3 questions from the floor.
I hope it's not some trick question, Jose.
No, they seem pretty straightforward. So the first question is, does London residential rental market remain active in coming months? Certainly. So obviously we've had COVID-19 with the lockdown situation, which has sort of stagnated things with especially with the lockdown, not being able to go out and do viewings. But that's picked up drastically in the last 2 weeks. Last week we did an exceptionally great week in terms of new tenancy starting, and we're expecting this week to be pretty much the same or even better. So hopefully that answers the question. Next question is, what sort of scenarios are both landlords and tenants facing in the current climate? So tenants are still moving around. A lot of the market has obviously been affected with the lockdown and with the COVID situation, but we believe that it's a short-term thing. So a lot of students have left because the universities have closed. So there's properties that have come back to the market. So those properties are up for rental. Landlords at the moment are having to obviously accept tenants moving in, 2 months from today. In some cases at lower rentals, but once again, we believe that it is short term and should get better in the coming months. Last question, from a rental perspective, what would you say makes an ideal rental property? Very good question. So the important thing with this is, the most important thing is location. So proximity to an underground station, that's what most tenants are looking for, and obviously buyers as well. Secondly, you want to have generally a modern development that has amenities, and you want to be close to business hubs. So as an example, Hammersmith, in this case, you've seen one of the slides has access to multiple different businesses that have headquarters or offices within the general area. That's a positive thing. And then lastly, I would say proximity to universities. Because the student market in London is a good one. So the fact that, once again, going back to this development, Sovereign Court, the fact that it has access to the business market, professionals, as well as the student market is definitely a positive thing. Thank you.
That's all the questions you have?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So anyway, I have 3 questions over here. And in fact, they are I must admit that they are very good questions. Can you guys, whoever that asked the 3 questions, can you just send an email to us? Because I think you guys deserve a prize, isn't it, for asking such a good question? Oh my, it's quite a challenge to me. So I think the first question is, John, are there many fire sales right now in UK? I wish I can I'll be telling you yes, there are, because that will make our life easier, right? The thing is, no. There is not many fire sales in UK right now. Why is that so? Because remember we touched upon the point whereby, remember Brexit, no Brexit, whether there's COVID-19 or no COVID-19, UK has a housing undersupply issue, meaning that the demand is year on year is outstripping the supply. So when you have an increasing demand and limited supply, what does that mean? That means that as an owner, if I own a property in London, my rental continue to be very strong. right? When on a monthly basis I continue to receive rental, I wouldn't be very stressed, right? So when I'm not stressed, why would I want to fire sale my property? Because if it's not the best time for me to sell, but I'm still collecting rental every month, why would I want to fire sale? I just collect the rental, wait for the market to go back up, and I sell it again. And so to answer the question, there's no fire sale scene right now. In fact, for the last 3 years, when it's in Brexit, in fact, for the last 3 months during this COVID-19, we don't see any fire sale as well. For us, being on the ground on a day-to-day basis, serving our clients, we don't have any clients coming to me and say that, you know, John, I'm very worried about this situation. Can you sell the property even if it's at a 20% loss? I think we don't see that at the moment because I think rental market still remains to be very strong, which sets a base for many property owners in UK. So that is the first question. Second question is, what are your prediction of the UK housing market in the medium to long term? Okay, this is challenging because first thing, I don't have the crystal ball, right? And of course, we all agree that this COVID-19 is a black swan event that, you know, governments around the world is trying their best to come up with a vaccine, try to make sure to have this safe social distancing and safety measure in place to control this pandemic. But how is it going to pan out and how long it's going to take, nobody knows. But what I can share with you is that in the last, in May itself, when UK opened up for business, we see a tremendous jump, pent-up demand in terms of rental inquiries, in terms of purchase inquiry. And that sort of probably set a note for what we will see when the market returns back to normal. But of course, coming back to the questions, a lot of agencies would predict that at least for this year, probably, you know, market is going to be quite muted, but a strong rebound should be seen from 2021 onwards if we manage to get this current COVID-19 under control. So I think this is the...
I can actually add to that if that's okay. So taking COVID-19 aside, end of last year, the elections came in, Conservatives won the majority. Pretty much on the day, demand picked up. We noticed inquiries coming in for buyers trying to buy property suddenly. And that maintained itself into the new year, so much so that our first quarter of this year, January, February, March, we had an 88% increase in our transactions as compared to the same time in 2019. So that in itself shows that we were headed in the right direction, and obviously COVID-19 has come now and it is definitely affecting the market. We don't know how long it's going to last. As John said, probably this year things are still going to be a bit stagnant. However, we believe that things were heading in the right direction, and after everything settles, it should continue in that same form. Yeah, agree. So the third questions, the third challenging questions that I have, thank you very much for that. John, how do you see the COVID-19 pandemic affecting Singaporeans' interest in the UK residential market moving forward? So, of course, so the question is, this COVID-19, does it affect Singaporeans' interest? On the contrary, I see, because right now COVID-19 impacted us in Singapore, I would say early part this year from February, right? So in fact, in the last 1 month, I see more Singaporeans or clients coming back to me inquiring about UK property. I guess the main reason for Singaporeans to look at UK property is really in retrospect to, like I mentioned earlier, as a Singaporean, when I want to buy a property investment, what do I naturally look at? I look at Singapore property first, right? Because I'm a Singaporean, I'm living here, I'll naturally look at Singapore property. But today, you know, because of certain measure in place, to buy that second property as an investment can be quite taxing on me, because I know that today if I buy a second property, I need to come up the additional stamp duty up front. I know that as a second property loan, I can only lend up to about 45%. That means that I need to set aside a huge cash to buy my second property. The third thing is that I know that straight away I need to start financing on a month-to-month basis, which is not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. So coming back to UK, I think many Singaporeans tend to be attracted to UK property as an investment destination, because why? I think UK tend to be a global city as well. They are top in finance, top in education, top in culture, top in defense. I always tell my client, what do you worry about London? London will always be London, right? That's why we have this phase. And
In fact, more so than ever, right now, London tend to be very attractive to overseas buyer. Why? Because we know that the interest rate is very low. So when we are taking a loan, the interest rate is much lower. The currency exchange rate is almost 15 to 20% cheaper right now. So suddenly I have this huge discount in terms of my currency exchange. The other thing is, I think very importantly for property investor is, you agree, rental market. I always ask my clients, what is important to you? Is capital appreciation or rental more important to you? So many will say capital appreciation, right? But I would say, do you agree with me that capital appreciation is only in a good market, then there's capital appreciation to talk about? Because property market is always a cycle, right? Because the property market can go up, the property market can come down. So when the property market go up, we can talk about capital appreciation. But we have to be very realistic about it. What if the property market go down? When the property market go down, there's no capital appreciation to talk about, isn't it? So when you have no capital appreciation to talk about, what is the only thing that help the property owner to survive that low period is the rental. And this is what UK market has been able to prove itself year on year, despite Brexit, despite Lehman Brothers, despite the dot-com bubble. The rental market in UK has always been so strong. So that even in a bad time, when you don't see the capital appreciation, you are able to hold on to your property and not coming out extra cash to pay for your mortgage loan. Because remember, you can take an interest-only loan as well. So your monthly cash flow is still very, very healthy. And then you wait for the property market to come back up, whereby you see the profit that you desire, and then you make the decision if you want to exit the market. I think this is the main thing why many, in fact, Singaporeans, Hong Kong clients, Malaysians have been looking into UK property for the last 10 years. Yeah, so to answer the questions, I don't think that affects the interest in the UK property market, because buying a property, we all agree this is long term. We are not buying a property for short term. I always tell my client, if you are looking to buy a property for short term speculation, don't look at buying a property. It's better to look at stocks and share. Yeah. So any other questions for us? Okay. With that, anything you want to add on, Jose?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much for having me.
So with that, thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the Friday evening. Have a blessed weekend. Thank you for spending the last 1 hour and 15 minutes with us. It's been a pleasure having you. We really, really look forward to having you with us in our physical office, hopefully in the next few months, whereby we'll be launching a series of exhibitions and projects as well. So stay safe and have a great weekend, guys. Bye.